revealing the truth, one fact at a time, without all the BS. This is the American Liberty Radio Network.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
No, I think this would be the time, because you really need to bring China into the creation of a new world order.
A new world order.
Of a new world order.
A new world order.
World order.
Is a circus, a carnival, a traveling troupe of acrobats, storytellers, dancers, singers, jugglers, sideshow freaks, lion tamers, and football players. We're in the boredom-killing business. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.com. Hey folks, how you doing? This is Wayne S. Pierce for the American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.com. I'm working on the site a little bit, so jump on over to the backup site at American Liberty Radio at USA.com. And there's, I don't know why, and I'm just curious. I don't know. I honestly do not know why. We have leftists out there. We have people out there that seem to think that it would be much better to have a more stringent, more repressed, suppressed government. In terms of this, we have a government now that is open, sort of, kind of hanging out there, giving people, protecting, not giving, I shouldn't say that. Let's just throw that out of the mix. They're protecting the God-given rights of people. They're doing everything they can, the small group of people that are patriots in Washington, D.C., while the rest of them, and here's my point, while the rest of them want to suppress, create chaos, just create a complete and utter tyranny in the United States of America. So we have those progressives on one side of the political arena, while the patriots, you and I, sit here wondering why nothing is ever getting done the way that we want it done. Now, that could be anything. And, of course, people are saying, well, you can't always get what you want. and things are being done and yada yada, and they'll go on and make up these excuses and give reasons as to why they don't want to get off their ass and go make things happen. Now, I'm not saying go out and be on the offensive. I'm not even calling for a coup. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, that's ridiculous. But what I'm saying is, take responsibility for your dumb ass. Get out there into the mix of things and start making sure that our politicians or the people we voted in office are doing exactly what they say they're going to do. And if they don't, we the people have to hold them accountable. And as far as I'm concerned, we can pack up their asses out of the state houses and out of the federal houses and throw their asses in jail if they're treasonous against the people. That's just me. Now, we could be nice. We could be nice, and we could say, well, Mr. Schumer, we could be nice and say, Mr. Schumer, we're good. Keep doing what you're doing. Mr. McCain, we're good. Keep doing what, we could be nice and just sit back and not do anything. We could. But we won't because it's not that way. It's not the way that it should be. It's not the way that it must be. It's not what it is. And my point on this is, it's all a charade. It's all a freaking charade. Have you literally known a politician to do what they say once they get in office? Have you known any candidate running for president, aside from Mr. Trump, that is going to do exactly what needs to be done to straighten this country out? Have you even... Do you live in the same country I do? Is there a reason why things aren't happening the way that they should be? I mean, that's a good question, isn't it? It's a very good question. Let's get into some news here because I got a lot to talk about. I got a lot to talk about. Now, I want to say to the people across the pond, across the ocean there over in England, I want to say that you guys are just as screwed up as we are. You guys are massively screwed up, okay? Dan Lyman at Infowars.com. Brexit gladiator Nigel Farage prepares to return to political battlefield. I would have no choice, vows British statesman. Brexit architect Nigel Farage is concerned that the United Kingdom's exit from the European Union is in jeopardy in the wake of yesterday's disastrous election, and has vowed a full-time return to politics if things continue to go sideways. You guys are massively screwed up over there, aren't you? I thought we had it bad. We got leftist progressives over here that want tyranny. And, You guys, you got some internal problems going on there that you need to worry about. You know what I mean? The European Union is a joke. They want massive tyranny all over the place. But you guys within London, within England itself, are just, my God, did ya wake up on the wrong side of history? What the hell's going on here? What are you guys thinking? That's up on American Liberty Radio podcast. Buchanan. You know, you remember him, Pat Buchanan, former presidential candidate. From Buchanan.com. The impeach Trump conspiracy. Soft coup against Trump is conduct of third world nations. What? What? Excuse me? What? Pressed by Megyn Kelly on his ties to President Trump, and exasperated Vladimir Putin blurted out, quote, "We had no relationship at all. I never met him. Have you all lost your senses over there?" Unquote. I'm going to give Vladimir Putin a big virtual high five. Thank you, Mr. Putin. Consider the questions that have convulsed this city since the Trump triumph and raised talk of impeachment. We hear daily on cable TV of the Trump-Russia scandal, yet no one has been charged with collusion, and every intelligence official, past or present, who has spoken out has echoed ex-acting CIA Director Mike Morell, quote, "On the question of Trump campaign conspiring with Russians here, there is smoke, but there's no fire at all. There's no little campfire. There's no little candle. There's no spark." It says read more, so I'm going to put that on American Liberty Radio podcast. I don't know, folks. I mean, I honestly, I honestly think that everybody who is aligning themselves with a more progressive position against the United States is mentally ill. What? Yeah, folks. I believe that people who want tyranny in the United States of America are mentally ill. I believe that if you structure your political foundation with misinformation, disinformation, and begin to indoctrinate others to your way of political thinking, you're mentally ill. Okay? And you are a political terrorist. You seem to think that everything that is going right, the growth of the economy, the growth of people, the innovation, all of that, everything that we're doing that is pointing us in the right direction in a positive way, you people think that that's wrong. And you think that it's going to take your social justice warriors and your Saul Alinsky philosophies and your Cloward and Piven type of principles to overthrow this government. Well, let me tell you something, jackasses. You're mentally ill and you need help. Go ahead, follow Nancy Pelosi. Follow Dianne Feinstein. Follow them. Follow Sanders. Follow Clinton. You guys are mentally ill. Okay? That's my message to you lefty progressives out there, and you righty progressives as well. Same thing, man. You're all part of the same party, but you've separated yourselves because that's what you were told to do. Michael Snyder at the American, let me look over here, endoftheamericandream.com. Michael Snyder. John McCain's incoherent questioning of James Comey shows why we need term limits. Does America really need a permanent ruling class of career politicians? I'm going to answer that, Michael Snyder. No. According to Real Clear Politics, right now Congress has an average approval rating of 18.8%. It is an institution that is dominated by politicians that are able to keep winning elections over and over again because they are extremely good at raising money. And our permanent ruling class of politicians has learned that it greatly pays to pander to the special interest and the wealthy donors that are able to inject large amounts of cash into their campaigns. This incestuous system produces many incumbents that are almost unbeatable, and the result is that some of these Congress critters end up staying in Washington much longer and longer than they should. I should say they stay in Washington much, much longer than they should. Yeah, all these career politicians are really good at raising money, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. Your votes don't count. Number one. Number two, whoever has the most money buys the politicians. Number three, whoever has the most money buys those offices in Washington, D.C. Number four, your votes don't count. Shall I go on? That's going up on American Liberty Radio podcast. I know that some people may look at me and may read my posts on my personal page and on American Liberty Radio podcast and think, this guy's out of his mind. He's a conspiracy theorist. He's a warmonger. He's fear-mongering. All I got to say to you is prove it. Oh, I got to say something else to you, too. You're dumb as a box of rocks. Because if you honestly can sit there in your area where you are and literally say to me, I don't have to prove anything to anybody. Well, guess what? You're a freaking douchebag. Yo mama didn't raise you well, and yo daddy didn't know what to do with you, and all of that. So I'm just trying to be jovial here, because if I get on this rant, I'm going to be spending the rest of the show indicting all you people. So I'll just plain and simply say this and move on. When you know that something is right, and you know that it's right, don't you think it's your duty and responsibility to prove it? I'm just going to leave that right there for you, and I'm going to move on. Michael Snyder, economiccollapseblog.com. Democrats are hoping this is Watergate, but in reality, Comey's testimony turned out to be a huge nothing burger. It turned out to be quite a dud. Many were anticipating that hashtag Comey Day would be the most monumental congressional hearing in decades, but the truth is that it turned out to be quite a dud. During 2.5 hours of testimony in front of the Senate Intelligence Committee, former FBI Director James Comey didn't tell us anything that we didn't already know. Of course, liberal news outlets such as CNN are breathlessly proclaiming that we are now, quote-unquote, in Nixon territory. But that isn't accurate at all. There is absolutely no evidence that President Trump committed any crime, and there is absolutely nothing that warrants impeachment. And this is what Michael Snyder says, and I am far from alone in this assessment. For example, the analysis published by CNBC says that nothing in Comey's testimony was, quote, powerful enough to end the Trump presidency literally or figuratively, unquote. When Comey accused Trump of being a liar, that certainly made a lot of headlines, but unless you are under oath, it is not a crime to lie. Can I say that again? Because that's interesting, isn't it? When Comey accused Trump of being a liar, that certainly made a lot of headlines. But unless you're under oath, it is not a crime to lie. Perhaps we should make it a crime for our politicians to lie, because if we did, we would clean out the toilet that Washington, D.C. has become rather quickly. But as it stands, even if Trump is a low-down, dirty liar, as Comey is claiming, that would simply put Trump on the same level as most of the current members of Congress. The much more important question is whether or not Trump committed obstruction of justice. Fortunately for Trump, there is a very clear answer to that question. First of all, we must remember that Trump was Comey's boss. As chief executive, Trump has constitutional power to direct the activities of his subordinates, and he is free to fire them whenever he chooses. So, as Alan Dershowitz, just pointed out on CNN, Trump cannot be impeached for simply exercising his constitutional authority. Traditionally, the FBI has operated in a highly independent manner, but there is nothing in the law that gives the FBI independent status. If Congress wants to pass a law to remove FBI from under the president's authority, they can certainly do that, but as it stands, what Trump did was fully within the law. But even if Trump didn't have the authority, there would still be no obstruction of justice. Two most important federal statutes that cover obstruction of justice is 18 U.S. Code subsection 1503 and 18 U.S. Code subsection 1505. In both cases, it would be exceedingly difficult for prosecutors to prove that Trump acted corruptly in this case. Not only that, there was no quote-unquote proceeding that Trump was trying to influence. For a more extended analysis, please see the article that Michael Snyder posted yesterday entitled, "Even if everything James Comey is claiming is true, there is still no evidence that Trump is guilty of any crime." If Comey is being straight with us, and at this point his credibility is pretty much shot, but if he is being straight with us, there is still nothing that is going to end Trump's presidency. What Trump did may have been, quote-unquote, inappropriate, but you don't impeach a president for being inappropriate. In the aftermath of Comey's testimony, Trump's attorney said that the president feels, quote, completely and totally vindicated. Excuse me. Michael Snyder goes on to say, "Personally, I hope that this whole scandal will go away now. There never was anything in it in the first place, and the American people want a government that is going to focus on solving problems instead of focusing on investigations that are doomed to go absolutely nowhere from the start." But even if this Comey angle doesn't work out, the Democrats will still keep on trying. In fact, the Huffington Post is already starting to promote the theory that Trump's withdrawal from the Paris Climate Agreement is an impeachable offense. No, it's not. In the end, the Democrats are never going to give up until they find something that they can use against Trump. What I am hearing, this is what Michael Snyder says, what I am hearing is that they are going to make an all-out push to take back the House and Senate in 2018, and if they can do that, they plan to use their congressional majorities to get rid of Trump one way or another. This is just another reason why the 2018 midterm elections are going to be the most important midterm elections in modern history, because if the Democrats have their way, Trump will never even make it to 2020. That's the whole article, folks. That's going up on American Liberty Radio podcast. Michael Snyder has great analysis over at economiccollapseblog.com. He's one of many in the independent media that really know what he's talking about. Okay? I'm going to say it again. I know I've said it once, but I'll say it again. Democrats are communists. Period. End of sentence. Done. Democrats are communists. I do not give one rip what your opinion is about my opinion. I know exactly what Democrats are. I know exactly how they were put together way back when. I know what their goals are. I know exactly the avenues and tracks and figuratively or metaphorical highways they're going to take to try to, bum rush President Trump. I know exactly what they're going to do. And Michael Snyder pointed out just a couple of ways that the Democrats are going to try to derail Trump's presidency. I don't know if this is going to happen, but I think it might, depending upon the situation and the circumstances in the 2018 midterm elections. But I have a distinct feeling that it's going to be very, very bad. Very bad. I myself personally would right now, if I were president of the United States, talk to my attorney general, and I would ask them if it's possible by law to go into the Supreme Court and order them to order the Democratic Party to disband. That's what I would do. But I don't, because I don't know. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if that's legal. I don't know. I've always said if I don't know something, I'll tell you I don't know. It's pretty much that simple. But I can tell you this much, and I know this from my own personal experiences growing up in a family of Democrats. They don't give one rip about what... They don't care about the right thing to do to make America great again. They don't. They can care freaking less. All they care about is, well, not all, but what they care about is sports, going to work, doing whatever, and if they are politically minded and active, then they go and do what they have to do and speak out and align themselves with political philosophies that are detrimental to the peace, freedom, liberty, and security for the United States of America. When I became an independent, I told my mother one day, I said, I don't even vote. I was in my 40s at the time, and I hadn't voted in many years. And I told my mom, I said, I don't vote. So what's the point? It's worthless. Well, it's your duty. It's what, and I told her, I said, Mom, your votes don't count. It's who has the most money that buys the biggest office in Washington, D.C. That's pretty much how these politicians win. And she just went back to that age-old adage of politics and religion should stay private. And I reminded her, well, how are we going to progress as a nation if we don't talk about these things? Silence. I heard crickets at that point. It was because she knew I was right. And she has many, many times over the years before her passing has literally told me before that, yeah, you're right about that. It's, you're thinking outside of the box is what she told me. And I'm going, yeah, I have to. It's just the way it is. I'm going to go to break, folks. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go away. This is American Liberty Radio Network. American Liberty Radio on Spreaker.com. AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. I'll be back after this. You know what you want. You want the truth. You want the facts. Without all the BS. American Liberty Radio Network. AmericanLibertyRadio.com.
ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Distorted Reality. I am your host, Nick Tucker. And I welcome you to the broadcast.
Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker. DistortedReality.podbean.com and Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on American Liberty Radio Network.
There's a show that's not afraid to ask questions no one else will ask. Not afraid to say
what no one else will say.
Friday nights at 7 p.m. Listen to Restricted Airspace with Tina Marie, where no topic is off limits. Conspiracy theories, paranormal activities, hoaxes, the unexplained. It's what we talk about. Question everything. Trust no one. Restricted Airspace with Tina Marie. Friday at 7 p.m. on the KCOR Digital Radio Network out of Las Vegas, Nevada.
Hey folks, how you doing? I'm just popping my finger there. That was neat. Anyway, folks, we have a situation in America. We have a situation in America. The circumstances within this situation have warranted the patriots of the United States of America to, well, let's just say, stay alert. The situation is not going to go away anytime soon, or be resolved anytime soon, to be more accurate. The circumstances that have created this situation are going to continue feeding the worst of the worst of who are in this political arena. And you know, folks, it's not one of us. 4 things globalists think you're too stupid to understand. InfoWars provides an in-depth look at psyche of globalists. John Griffin, Infowars.com, 9 June 2017. Most Americans by now have read or heard InfoWars warn about the dangers of globalists and the New World Order. But the sheer amount of information can be overwhelming, and it's easy just to throw out the information and trust someone else to take action. We will approach globalism in a different way. That's what Infowars.com says. That's what John Griffin says. Let me just highlight some of the things here. 4 things globalists believe. Enlightened. We know better. That's what globalists think, that they know better than everybody else. Okay? That's what they think. 2, heaven is a place on earth. Now that you heard that, you got that song stuck in your head, don't you? 3, ends justify the means. This is a globalist, this is just part of the globalist, game plan. This is just part of their philosophies, is they think that the ends justify the means. They don't, by the way. Bite-sized elephants. Now, that's a term you haven't heard before. Bite-sized elephants. The old adage is, quote, if you're going to eat an elephant, eat it one bite at a time, unquote. All of these are going up on the American Liberty Radio podcast. You need to take a gander at those, because that's exactly what globalism is. It's the 1,000-pound elephant sitting in the room with the 800-pound gorilla sitting next to it, and you're just sitting there going, hey, man, when's the football game coming on? You see what I'm talking about? I find now, just hang on to your horses there for a minute, there, cowboy. Think about the very nature of someone who wants to do you harm. Think about that for a minute. Think about the very nature of a person who wants to do you harm. They're, as we would have found eventually, they're sociopathic, borderline psychotic. They will use any means necessary to sweet talk you into doing things for them or being who they want you to be. They will do everything they can until they slowly pull you to that political trap. And then, wham! That piece of metal comes down on your head and you're done. Talking about a mousetrap, folks. Metaphoric mousetrap. These globalists think that we're too stupid to realize what they're up to, but because of independent media, which I am a part of, people like Alex Jones or even the late William Cooper or other people, Michael Savage, other people, we now know the very nature of these psychopaths called globalists. We know these people. Okay? I had to take a little coffee there, folks. I cannot understand why people don't view the obvious. That's only part of it. I don't know why people can't accept what is going on in front of them right now. I don't. It is important to me, and I guess this is just important to me. I don't see anybody else thinking how important it is to promote peace, freedom, liberty, and security, and to promote a positive way of making things better. And I see very little of that. I shouldn't say I don't see anyone. I see very little of that. But you see, there's something else. And it's something I don't see, and I don't see who's, behind the scenes in the Patriot Freedom movement to make America great again, to borrow that from President Trump. I don't see who's behind the scenes on that side. I know who's behind the scenes pushing the buttons and pulling the handles on the globalist side. I don't know who or what is happening behind the scenes with the patriots in America. I don't. I see a lot of people like Brian Lang and others going to, the overpasses and keeping the extortion 17 in people's faces. And if you don't know about extortion 17, go look at it. Go look for Brian D. Lang on Facebook, or go to livetruthradio.com for more information about overpassesforamerica.com and all of that. And go listen to his program, by the way. Not now, but later. It's livetruthradio.com. But I don't see what's happening behind that. I see a lot of people standing up for the flag. I see a lot of people standing up for freedom and all of that. But I don't see... I'm just going to plainly put it to you this way. I'm not going to pussyfoot around and use metaphor or analogies. I'm just going to plainly put it. I don't see the Army of the Patriots standing up. I don't see the Army of the Patriots standing up. That's what I don't see. I don't see that. I don't see how anyone can just sit on their ass and do nothing. And I know people are going to use that against me. They're going to use... people use my words against me all the time. They're going to say, well, what are you doing? Let me tell you what I'm doing. I'm giving you the information that would help you stand up against these globalists to do what you need to do to protect your friends and family and coworkers in cities and states and all of that. That's what I'm doing. But you're probably wondering, well, would you ever get out in the street? If people wanted me to lead a group of people in defense of this nation, I would, in a heartbeat. Did you hear there we go, my fingers snapping. In a heartbeat. Because I know exactly what the enemy does. I know how they operate. I understand from deep inside from some of their operatives. And even the globalists cannot hide what they do anymore. Okay? So yes, I would get up and I would lead people in the defense of this city I currently live in, which is Billings, Montana. I would defend this state, this country, this region, if there were people that were in support of that. Because that's what I do. That's what I do. And as far as I'm concerned, if we don't have that many people that are willing to stand up and to lead others in the defense of the United States of America and help build that foundation of peace, freedom, liberty, and security for the nation, we've already lost. If we don't have those leaders to do that, those people that are willing to lead, yeah. So, anyway, get on here. Let me move on here and get down and dirty with some of the other news that's going on. And I'm going to go here because I haven't been here in a long time. NBCnews.com. I'm going to tell you exactly what the spin is over here. Trump claims vindication after Comey lies at hearing. Comey's testimony on Sessions may amount to less than first thought. Okay. Trump lawyer to file leak complaint after Comey testimony. This is all NBCnews.com. Alleged NASA leaker wrote she wanted to burn the White House down. Can you say, I don't know, is that true? I have no clue. I haven't talked to this person. House votes to roll back parts of Dodd-Frank Wall Street reform bill. Ooh, that's going to affect you financially. Let's take a look at that. Phil Helsel, thank you, Phil, over at NBCnews.com. The House of Representatives on Thursday approved a bill that would roll back key parts of the Dodd-Frank Act aimed at Wall Street and financial industries regulatory reform, which was passed in the wake of the mortgage meltdown. The House voted 233 to 186 to approve the Financial Choice Act. The bill would give banks a choice between complying with Dodd-Frank or holding on to more capital. Basically, if you don't know anything about the Dodd-Frank, let me go into. I'm going to just stop right there and go here because I want you to know what Dodd-Frank is all about. Investopedia.com, as soon as the webpage decides to want to show itself, I can tell you. What is the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act? The Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act is a massive piece of financial reform legislation passed by the Obama administration in 2010 as a response to the financial crisis of 2008, named after sponsors U.S. Senator Christopher J. Dodd and U.S. Representative Barney Frank. The Act's numerous provisions spelled out over roughly 2,300 pages are being implemented over the period of several years and are intended to decrease various risks in the U.S. financial system. The act established a number of new government agencies tasked with overseeing various components of the act and, by extension, various aspects of the banking system. President Donald Trump has pledged to repeal Dodd-Frank on June 8th. The House Representatives voted to replace it with the Financial Choice Act, which will roll back significant pieces of Dodd-Frank. The Choice Act, however, is not expected to pass the Senate in its entirety. So, because I've mentioned that, and you have to pardon the little freaking pop-up ads that come up on the page, but I'm going to put that up on American Liberty Radio Podcast. I am going into overdrive, folks, today, because, well, I ranted too much in the last couple of segments. So, I want to get to some of the news. Continuing with this article from NBC News, House votes to roll back parts of Dodd-Frank financial industry reform bill. Critics also say it would eliminate the independence of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau created by Dodd-Frank and greatly reduce its ability to regulate. The bill must still go to the Senate. The Senate is less motivated to pass the repeal of the financial oversight legislation. Instead, the Senate is more interested in a broad-based bipartisan bill that focuses on economic growth and could include some financial regulation reform, NBC has reported. Dodd-Frank was passed in 2010. President Donald Trump has pledged to repeal the law. In February, Trump called Dodd-Frank a disaster. Okay, so there you go. That's going up on American Liberty Radio Podcast. Let me ask you a question concerning just an overall general view of President Donald Trump's first few months in office. Do you think he's doing the right thing? Do you think that he's just do you think he's being manipulated? That's a good question, right? Do you think he's being manipulated? I don't know. Currently in Billings, Montana, it is 73 degrees outside, and we're looking at some pretty good weather. I mean, it is nice. It is very nice right now. I like it. Currently in town, we have Gianforte granted 2-week extension to appear in court. You know, things are going on with him because he smacked around a reporter. I make it sound worse than what it truly was. But, yeah, well, the weather.com page is not coming up for some reason. Oh, there it is. Oh, sorry. It went away now because I clicked the tab. Politics is something like it's the Chihuahua nipping at your ankle. That pretty, in a general sense, that's what it is. It's the Chihuahua biting at your ankle. The people who support political candidates or political personalities is pretty much the medium-sized dog in your house. And the people that actually run Washington, D.C., that control all these politicians are the big, giant Rottweiler that's sitting right on your lap or having their feet on your lap looking at you and keeping you from moving. Okay? So this is pretty much what that whole situation is all about. In Billings, Montana, it says here at the weather.com channel, or at the weather.com website, 77 degrees, partly cloudy, feels like 77. Highs in the 82 and the lows in 52. So there you go. That's as of 10:30 Mountain Time here in Billings, Montana. So today it should get up to 82, and tonight it should be down to 52. So we're good, man. We are. I love this weather, man. I love this weather. This is awesome. I love it. This is walking weather, man. This is going to the park and having fun weather. This is great. Speaking of the park, okay, speaking of the park, let me go and tell you what's happening around Billings, Montana today. And, whoops, you know, you got to put the whole thing into the search bar, not just part of it. So, yeah. So let me tell you what's happening in and around Billings, Montana. There's a Festival of Cultures today, the 24th Annual Festival of Cultures, not today, in 2 days, Sunday, 10 a.m. at the Rocky Mountain College here in Billings, the 24th Annual Festival of Cultures Day. So you may want to, if you want to get out and about on a Sunday morning, you go ahead and run on over to Rocky Mountain College for the 24th Annual Festival of Cultures, and it starts at 10 a.m. So there you go. It's a lot of stuff going on. That's just one thing. I'll bring you more later. Yes, I am going into overdrive because, hey, I can. It's my network. I will do what I have to do. But anyway, folks, let me go into business on NBCnews.com. Let me go into that. Do Amazon's bookstores suffer from butt brush? Oh, isn't that wonderful? I don't know what that is. I've never heard of that. So, and since you've probably never heard of that, let's go talk about it. Ben Popkin over at NBCnews.com under the business consumer section. After disputing real-world retail for 20 years, Amazon is trying its hand at brick-and-mortar book and grocery outlets. But the online giant is finding out that checking out isn't the same as shopping. Amazon opened its first New York City bookstore last month, bringing its total number of physical bookstores to 7. And in Seattle, Amazon Fresh Pickup opened to the public for the first time, allowing customers to place orders online and pick them up from a drive-in location. While both boasted seamless transactions for paying Amazon Prime users, each had a few quirks. Bookstores with butt brush. The bookstores have been described as physically odd, betraying inexperience with retail and not building for people who actually read in the New Yorker and the New Republic. For one, there's the butt brush effect that, from what some have said, are Amazon bookstores' overly narrow aisles. The theory says that if browsing shoppers are brushed from behind by other shoppers' tables or merchandise, they're less likely to buy. Retail consultant Paco Underhill, who coined the term, is doing some work for Amazon now. Amazon Fresh Pickup not crowded. Prime members are already able to get groceries at their home by paying $14.99 a month for Amazon Fresh delivery, but Amazon Fresh Pickup takes the expedience factor even further by allowing customers to get their order within as little as 15 minutes. Customers place an order online, then drive to the depot to have the shopping brought directly to the car. Prime members who are not Amazon Fresh members can also shop online and skip the $14.99 a month charge, but may experience later pickup times. We went to one of the two stores, both of which in Seattle. This is what the author of the article says. So Amazon Stores 1.0, making a profit as a retail outfit, seems almost an afterthought at some stores, second only to marketing and shopping as theater. Consider the M&M store in Times Square, New York, or the Kellogg's Cereal Cafe, also near Times Square, and especially the Samsung Experience store in New York's trendy meatpacking district, where you can't buy anything. The trend is called place marking, said Underhill. They're often money pulled out of print and broadcast and put into a physical location. In other words, a walk-in billboard. But Amazon is up to more than just a gimmick. Okay? Quote, Amazon is sort of looking 5 to 10 years down the road that you need to have some kind of physical footprint out in the world, unquote, said Underhill. Quote, when bricks and mortars catch up with the omni-channel world, they're going to give Amazon a run for their money, unquote. Amazon didn't respond to NBC News' request for comment. They're like behind the times, folks. I'm going to put this on American Liberty Radio podcast because I highlighted just a bunch of stuff. So I just like flew over a whole bunch of stuff that I really think was, is fluff. I'll just leave it at there. So I just wanted to highlight a few things, but they're behind the times, folks. And I believe it's in Japan. I think I'm not sure right offhand. But I think it's in Japan where they've got trains, subways and such, and someone could be standing there, and there's this wall of pictures of groceries. There's a wall of pictures of food and groceries and other things, and the person takes their phone and they snap the picture, or they have this app on their phone. They just snap this picture, boom, 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 what they want, yada, 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 pay for it through their phone. Everything's, taken care of there. They get home, and either sooner or later, their merchandise shows up. That's in Japan, folks. Amazon is way behind the times at this point. They're behind the times. You want to do something brilliant for people? Okay, you want to do something that is awesome for people? Contact me. I have an idea. So, yeah, I'm not going to give it to you. Are you crazy? Somebody else take that idea? You nuts. Most Americans think their kids will be worse off. Well, that's a switch. Yeah. This is still at NBCnews.com. Ben Popkin again. Only 37% of Americans think their kids will be better off. Americans are tucking their kids into bed at night, convinced their children will be sleeping less soundly in the future. Oh, interesting. I'll come back from the top of the hour break. It's going to be a long break, folks. It's going to be almost 6 minutes long, so you can go do whatever it is you got to do, okay? And I'll be back for the rest of that, and I'll get into that article. I still have it up in the browser, so I will be back right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the American Liberty Radio Network. AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com is the website to go to, and on Spreaker.com at American Liberty Radio. Folks, I'm out of here. Talk to you in a bit. What's there to talk about? A lot. No subject is off limits. From politics to the paranormal, from entertainment to what is for dinner, there's more to everyday life than what we can imagine. Want to hear more? Listen to The Wayne S. Pierce Show on American Liberty Radio Network. You can also hear his show on the Wayne S. Pierce Show.weebly.com. That's The Wayne S. Pierce Show on American Liberty Radio Network. For more information, go to thewaynespearceshow.weebly.com. Smashing through the lies of the mainstream media. tearing down the walls of misinformation.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order.
Shattering the foundations of the new world order.
To bring China into the creation of a new world order.
The truth, the facts, no bullshit.
In this new world, such dangerous currents have swept along faster than our efforts to contain them. And that is why we cannot afford to be divided.
The American Liberty Radio Network. AmericanLibertyRadio.com.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes.
For more information, go to AmericanLibertyRadio.com or email them at AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. Nova Center for the Performing Arts has picked its 2017 and 2018 productions. These productions will fit this year's theme of Around the World. The season will have 10 productions, including 4 main stage theater productions: Mousetrap, Quilters, Celtic Christmas, and The Complete History of America, Abridged. The season will include 4 youth shows: Madeline, Brunderbar, Gulliver's Travels, and The Schoolhouse Rock. The season will also include 2 operas: Festival of One-Act Operas and Pirates of Penzance. So come join the fun this season at Nova Center for the Performing Arts. For more information, go to their website at www.novabillings.org. Create your own podcast. Spreaker has it all. Set up your account and get ready to record podcasts or host live radio shows from your computer or mobile device. Spreaker's wide range of tools covers every step of the podcasting process, from simple recording and broadcasting apps to analytics on your audience. You can upload your files or migrate content over using the RSS importer. Host your show today. For more information, go to Spreaker.com.
I hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly. I order all those assembled to immediately disperse. You must leave the immediate vicinity. If you remain in this immediate vicinity, you will be in violation of the Crimes Code.
www.livetruthradio.com, the not politically correct radio broadcast. Oh yeah, come on over and join us to stand up, speak out, and get involved. The radio they don't want you to hear. Ha ha ha.
I felt a great disturbance in the force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced.
Hey folks, well, this is American Liberty Radio Network. This is the American Liberty Radio Network podcast for the 9th of June 2017. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome. It's a good day, man. It's a good day. It's a good day. Are you having a good day? Are you rocking it, man? Because, you know, this is a good day. NBCNews.com is reporting only 37% of Americans think their kids will be better off. Ben Popkin over there, thank you, Ben. NBCnews.com. Americans are tucking their kids into bed at night, convinced their children will be sleeping less soundly in the future. Just 37% of Americans think that children in the United States will grow up to be better off financially than their parents, according to a new study by the Pew Research Center, a nonpartisan nonprofit think tank based in Washington, D.C. Russians, meanwhile, have a more optimistic outlook, with 52% saying they believe their kids will be better off. More than half of respondents in countries with fast-paced economic growth, such as India, Ghana, Nigeria, and the Philippines, also said they expected their kids to be better off. Quote, the U.S. may be one of the richest countries in the world with one of the highest per capita gross domestic products among major nations, but Americans are fairly pessimistic about economic prospects for their country's children, unquote, said the report. That's going up on American Liberty Radio podcast. We have to teach our kids in a much better way what their potential is. And the first thing we need to do, folks, is to get rid of Common Core, period. Is just get rid of that piece of crap right there. That's the millstone around your neck. You know, that's the albatross in the room. That's the 1,500-pound giraffe sitting on your lap. Get rid of that. Just go away. We don't need that. What we need to do is we need to teach our children financial responsibility. Well, you know, when I was in school years ago, we had an economics class. I took an economics class, and in a part of that class was to have a mock bank account with a mock checking account with, you know, and all of that. And you learned how to manage your money, and that's what schools need to teach people. That's what schools need to teach their students. Okay? And a lot of people don't think that's important, but, you know, when your kid is old enough, maybe a teenager, 14, 15, 16 years old, and they get their first job, what do you think they're going to spend their money on? They're not going to save a dime. It's money. I've got to go. You know, they don't have that switch that says, oh, wait, we got to put $5 away. We got to put $10 away. They don't have that switch. It's just like, I got money. I'm going to go, you know, a new computer game. I'm going to get a new phone and all this, that, and the other thing. And that's another thing. I got my own. I've had stepkids before, and I have my own opinion about kids and cell phones. So anyway, but we have to teach kids how to be responsible, number one, for themselves, and number two, for, you know, the circumstance that they're in, the environment they live. How are they going to do certain things if they do not know how to do those certain things? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's that simple. We need to teach our kids how to be better than we are. Am I better than my parents? My parents have passed away. But am I still better than what my parents expected me to be? I don't know. I've never asked them what their expectation of me was. And that's where you need to start teaching your kids, hey, you can talk to us. Parents, hello. You need to teach your kids they can talk to you. You know, help them understand that, hey, you were teenagers once yourself. You know, Mom isn't this old lady that's just in the house ordering you around to do stuff, you know, okay? You were a child too at one point, Mom. Moms and dads, you were teenagers, you know. So this is something that you need to really do, and the schools need to help do that as well. The schools need to help put together classes and even seminars. The schools can do that. I've seen that happen. Schools, high schools put together seminars for parents and students, and they talk about certain things. And you know, from what I gathered, they were pretty good. They were pretty decent seminars. But I get ahead of myself. So let's go here, folks, as soon as my browser decides it wants to work. I got Wi-Fi in the studio, folks, and we are upgrading around here, planning. We've got it on paper right now. Planning on upgrading some equipment and remodeling the studio a little, kind of regrouping some things, you know, kind of feng shui the place, you know what I mean? And so we're looking to, you know, you to help out as much as you possibly can if you are so inclined to do so. We're not twisting your arm. We're just saying, hey, you know, it would be nice if you would help. You can go to AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. That is our backup site. We're working on the main site right now, or I am anyway. As if I have a mouse in my pocket. Go to AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. Go to the sponsors page. There's a link there. It says become a patron. Drop $1 into Kitty to help us keep the lights on around here. That'd be great. Thank you. Appreciate that. So let's go here. Who names their kid Reality? I've heard people call their kid Sunshine before, but that wasn't their actual name. Who names their kid Reality? Reality winner planned to burn down the White House, pledged allegiance to the Taliban. Prosecutors discover stunning new details in NSA leaker case. The federal magistrate judge held a detention hearing for Reality winner Thursday afternoon. Wait a minute, that phrase just hit me funny. Detention hearing? As if they're not going to hold her? Ooh, I don't know. 25-year-old worked as a contractor for the government and is accused of giving classified information from the National Security Agency to online news outlet. What? She entered a not guilty plea. The judge denied bond. The prosecutors argue that the only thing Winner could do if she were released on bail is be recruited by the nation's enemies. Wait a minute. Let's go back. As Willy Wonka says, reverse that. Prosecutors argued that the only thing Winner could do if she were released on bail is to be recruited by the nation's enemies. This is the prosecutor. This is the prosecution. Based on evidence seized from her home, federal prosecutors detailed Winner's alleged plans to burn down the White House and travel to Afghanistan, pledging her allegiance to the Taliban. Yeah. So let me put the original link on that. That's on Infowars.com, by the way. But let me put the original link up there from WSBTV.com. Okay? I want you to see where I got this. It's on Infowars.com, but I'm putting the original, their source link up on American Liberty Radio Podcast. Do you understand now why I said we have to teach kids to take responsibility for themselves? Because if parents don't, if they don't do that, okay? If they don't do that, you're going to have your kids joining gangs. You're going to have your kids, getting so upset and pissed off at you that they're just going to leave you and they're going to go, they're going to go everywhere. All right. They're going to go elsewhere to be accepted, to be seen, to be the center of attention, to be, they want to be noticed. They want you to pay attention to them, regardless of how much they yell, scream, and slam the door and walk out and leave and, get pissed off at you. They want you to notice them. They want you to tell them everything is going to be okay. They want you to tell them that they can be whatever they believe they want to be. But most of all, they want you to tell them that you love them, and they want you to hug them and love them and protect them. But if you are not willing to do that, others are. RT is reporting, get this, I heard this about a year ago. I heard about this, and I looked at some of the studies involved in this, and they were, I had to laugh because I'm going, what? It came out, let me give you the headline here, and I'll tell you. Monkey trial. Chimpanzees aren't people, New York court says. Judge rules only people are people. I heard about this. And it was probably a couple of years ago now when the second Planet of the Apes remake movie came out. And I heard about this, and I heard about how scientists are doing this. Well, let me give you this as an example. Coco the gorilla. She does sign language and she can talk to people. And at one point when I was looking at and researching her and looking at her caretaker, Penny, and watching her over the years, Coco told one of her handlers, other than Penny, one of the people there, she literally was not prompted, Coco the gorilla, was not prompted to say anything. Coco came out and just told this person in sign language that she remembers when her parents were taken away and killed. So you tell me how smart a gorilla is. Tell me how smart these monkeys are. Have you watched these documentaries about chimpanzees and all of that? There's some smart critters out there, man, I'm telling you. But the New York Supreme Court says, no, they're not human. Humans are humans. People are people. New York Supreme Court has rejected a claim by an advocacy group that 2 chimpanzees held in captivity should be treated like legal persons and granted the right to habeas corpus, relief from unlawful imprisonment. The Non-Human Rights Project and its president, Stephen Wise, sought habeas corpus relief for Tommy and Kiko, 2 chimpanzees held in cages by private owners in upstate New York, and argued that chimpanzees were entitled to many of the same legal rights as humans. 5 judges on the appellate division of the state's Supreme Court ruled unanimously against the group on Thursday. Any shared abilities that chimpanzees have with humans do not translate to their ability to be held legally accountable for their actions, Justice Troy Weber wrote in the decision. Quote, while petitioners' avowed mission is certainly laudable, the according of any fundamental legal rights to animals, including entitlement to habeas corpus, is an issue better suited to the legislative process. Okay, I'll stop right there. I'm going to put this on American Liberty Radio podcast. I'm going to stop right there and say this. If a chimpanzee can mimic a human, and I've seen chimpanzees in video use sign language to talk to the caretakers. I don't want to say handlers, but talk to their caretakers. I've seen chimpanzees and gorillas do this. Now, it's just a question. I don't want no arguments. It's just a question. Do you believe that a chimpanzee or a gorilla who has human-like qualities, because deaf people use sign language, don't they? If chimpanzees or gorillas have human-like qualities, do you not think that at some point, maybe not now, but at some point they would be considered to be human? In air quotes, human. Okay? But we have to remember they're primates. Fundamentally, that's what they are. That's what they do. And much like, in regards to the chimpanzees, they're like kindergartners. They learn letters, they learn words, they learn how to structure sentences. They know how to do this. By the way, they are great with tools. They can, if you watch these chimpanzees in the forest and the jungles, they create and build fundamental tools. I ask the question again, could they not be at some point considered to be non-primate or, quote unquote, air quotes, human? Could we're human, we have a brain, we can think, we have a body, we can talk, we can do all that. Yeah. That doesn't necessarily make us the smartest creatures on the planet. Did you know that dolphins are smarter than humans? Did you know that pigs are intelligent? Interesting. So we are not the smartest species on the planet. Huh. Just saying. Just putting it out there. Just putting it. That article is on American Liberty Radio podcast. Keep blowing into the microphone. I got my headphones on. It's like, wow. London Bridge jihad. 18 red flags missed or ignored by UK security forces. Terrorist massacre could have easily been prevented. Operative word there. Easily been prevented. The police, MI5 and the UK border force missed at least 18 clear chances to tackle the 3 London Bridge jihadists, raising even more serious questions about their ability to stop violent extremists. Mail Online can reveal there were several opportunities to stop more than one of the terrorists getting into Britain in the first place, but the authorities failed to intervene. Putting that up on American Liberty Radio podcast. I don't. You know, folks, when I overlook something, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm wrong. When I overlook something, it doesn't necessarily mean that I've got my facts wrong or I've got the information wrong somewhere. Because in my books, in my book, 1 + 1 still equals 2. Okay. So, let's gather together the smartest people on the face of the planet. Let's go into that intellectual room where all these people are sitting and ask questions, shall we, of how certain things should be done. Yes, I'm being funny because that's what I do. I'll take you back in history a little bit. Let me take you back in history a little bit. Let's go back into history. Let's do that, shall we? Let's. Here's something that I know, and it is that many years ago, you know, in the 14th, 15th, 16th centuries, intellectuals like myself, and I am an intellectual. Intellectuals like the authors of old, who wrote volumes on society, they were treated as rock stars in their day. They were given the best seats in the most fanciest restaurants of that day. I'm talking England and other places as well, including what we know now as Russia. And still to this day in 2017, we still have these intellectuals who are quite educated on what is going on. We make fun of them. We don't treat them as rock stars anymore. We make fun of these people because, well, why do you make fun of them? Why do you make fun of the smartest person in the room and call him a smart aleck? Or look at that smarty pants. He thinks he knows it all, huh? I tell you straight up, folks, I don't know it all. I don't claim to know it all. I don't want to know it all. I'd be bored because there wouldn't be anything else to learn. You can call me many things. You can call me a philosopher, an intellectual, a writer, a playwright, whatever. You can call me anything. Call me every name in a book, make up a few, I don't care. I know who I am. And that's the key thing. With parents looking at their children, 37% of parents don't think that their kids are going to be better than they are, according to the poll. Well, you got to look at your kids and find out, number one, what their strengths are. That's number one. Also, with that, look at their weaknesses. Find out what they're interested in and watch them. Don't push them away from it. Don't tell them, oh, you never finish what you start or whatever. No. We have bumps in the roads, folks. We have bumps in our road. So for someone to say, well, you never finish what you start, well, you always pull me away from it. How can I finish it if you're always pulling me away from it? Telling me not to do it. The job of a parent is twofold. One, love them, hug them, feed them, clothe them, whatever. And the second one is to protect them. And it probably goes with number one too, but it's a whole different ball game when it comes to protecting your children. Is it not, dads? We know this. Some people fail. Some people excel. Some people, some children, some teenagers, some young people excel in certain areas, and we call them prodigies. Some people aren't as good, and we say, oh, they're mediocre. And some people just cannot even grasp tying their own shoes. We don't fault them for that, but we don't think they're smart enough to do the rudimentary things in life. But we have these gray areas. And the intellectuals fill in those gray areas. The intellectuals of the world fill in those gray areas to help others understand what's going on in the world around them. They understand. They've been there. They see it. And you're not exalted into the world of the intellectuals without knowing what the hell you're talking about. So remember one thing, if nothing else. There is no longer any conspiracy theories whatsoever. Period. It's all in your face. It's all out there. It's all fact, folks. No more theories. It's all fact. It's all laid out before you. At the banquet of the bureaucrats. And they're showing you exactly what's going on, how it's moving, what's doing what, and who's doing what with whom, and all this, that, and the other thing. They're showing you everything. Much like the intellectuals of old would tell you, hey, this is what's happening, and this is how this is playing out, and they would show you. And what are you doing? What are you doing? Before I go to break, I want to divert your attention to a short video clip, probably about 20, 21 minutes. It's on YouTube. It's called The Pedestrian. Go check that out. It has David Ogden Stiers, who was in MASH. And it's very, very good. And it makes my point pretty well in one specific area. Okay? But you have to watch the whole thing. Okay? You have to watch it. It's an awesome little clip. It's about 20, 21 minutes long. And The Pedestrian. Go check that out on YouTube. It's amazing. It's amazing. How's that relate to the intellectuals? Yeah, you'll see it. You'll see it. If you don't, I'll tell you. Okay? Just ask me. AmericanLibertyRadio.com. American Liberty Radio at USA.com. I'll be back right after this. Broadcasting from FEMA Region 8. Sharing the truth one fact at a time, without all the BS. This is the American Liberty Radio Network.
The people of the world are now seeing what the globalists have always intended. They are engaged in a campaign to rid the world of 90% of humanity. They are well on their way of achieving this. But, with the corrupt mainstream media aligning themselves with such diabolical philosophies, the globalists are now being exposed and the people are now seeing them for who they truly are. Thanks for the most part to the independent media revealing the connection of the mainstream media to globalists like George Soros and others who invest and spread disinformation.
Don't say you haven't been warned. Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker. DistortedReality.podbean.com and Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on American Liberty Radio Network. Sharing the truth one fact at a time, without all the BS. American Liberty Radio Network. AmericanLibertyRadio.com.
There's a show that's not afraid to ask the questions no one else will ask. Not afraid to say
what no one else will say.
Friday nights at 7 p.m. Listen to Restricted Airspace with Tina Marie, where no topic is off limits. Conspiracy theories, paranormal activities, hoaxes, the unexplained. It's what we talk about. Question everything. Trust no one. Restricted Airspace with Tina Marie. Friday at 7 p.m. on the KCOR Digital Radio Network out of Las Vegas, Nevada.
Hello, everybody. This is Brian Lang with Live Truth Radio and TV. You're listening to Wayne S. Pierce with American Liberty Radio.
Hey, folks, this is American Liberty Radio Network. Thank you there, Mr. Brian Lang over at LiveTruthRadio.com. You're awesome. Hey, the music you're hearing, turn that up. The music you're hearing is from Riot. It's called Highway Girl. You can find that on YouTube. When you go to your video manager and you go to create, and there's a bunch of music in there that's allowed to be played through, on your shows and whatever else. I mean, they allow you to download it, and that's the music that YouTube allows you to play. So that's from Riot, called Highway Girl. You may search for it, but it is on YouTube. That's where I got it from. So thank you there, guys, over at Riot. Oh, my God. Can we just, oh my God. I'm so glad life is not a video game. Seriously, I'd be hitting the reset a lot. Hitting the reset button, man. I don't like this. Boom, let's hit it again. I'm so glad it is not a video game. I'd be all over that reset button, seriously. That's so true. Anyway. And I want to say this because it's pretty much absurd when you really look at the whole extension of globalism. When you look at the whole extension of globalism, when you're out there and when you see the men and women involved in globalism, Angela Merkel and people like that, it's just absurd, isn't it? I mean, you're depending upon them to make your country better, but they're globalists, so they want a new world order and a one world government. I mean, come on. To me, that's absurd. And if people can't see the inability within that type of framework for people to be individuals and to be, independent from any government, I mean, you're seriously flawed in your logic. Okay? To me, that's absurd for anybody not to recognize that. And it's very serious, by the way. Number of potential migrants worldwide tops 700 million. What? Globally, 14% of the world's adults wish to migrate. This is from Zero Hedge. This is on Infowars.com. Viruses, violent conflicts, and a host of other regional calamities helped revive people's desire to migrate permanently to another country between the years 2013 and 2016, as the number of potential migrants climbed to 710 million, according to a Gallup poll. They're pretty accurate, aren't they? Globally, 14% of the world's adults wish to migrate, with the highest rates seen in sub-Saharan Africa, that's 30%. Areas of Europe outside the European Union, 21%, followed by Latin America and the Caribbean, 18%. The Middle East and North Africa, 19%. The European Union, 20%. The Commonwealth of Independent States, 15%. Australia, New Zealand, and Oceania, 9%. And North America, 10%. The lowest rates were found in Asia, starting with South Asia, 8%, and East Asia, 8%, and Southeast Asia at 7%. Regions that saw the largest increase were areas of Europe outside the EU, which rose by 6% percentage points, the Caribbean and Latin America, which climbed 5 percentage points, in the Middle East and North Africa, while still not back to the 16% Gallup measured between 2007 and 2009. The desire to migrate has risen in several regions thanks to a slowing post-crisis economic recovery. The Gallup poll revealed that in 31 countries throughout the world, at least 3 in 10 adults say they would move permanently if they could. These countries and areas are found in every region except Asia, Oceania, and Northern America. At 62%, Sierra Leone had the highest rate of dissatisfaction with current circumstances, likely thanks to the 2014 Ebola outbreak. Haiti and Albania tied for second at 56%, with Liberia coming in fourth at 54%. So there you go, folks. There's more to read in that article, so I'm going to put this on American Liberty Radio Podcast. It's amazing, and I don't know if it's amazing, but it is kind of odd, and I don't even know if I can use that word in this, but it's kind of odd to see people want to leave the United States of America. Why is that odd? Excuse me, I had to take a drink of something over there. Yeah, I have a Pepsi sitting next to me, folks. So anyway, I find it odd that Americans want to leave. Isn't that odd to you? I find it odd that American citizens want to leave the United States of America. I do find that quite odd. I don't understand why. Because if they were true patriots to the American liberty of the United States, if they were true patriots and were truly Americans and truly supported peace, freedom, liberty, and security for the nation of the United States of America, would you not think they would stay? So I'm asking all the other countries that listen to this show and to listen to this network, why are your people, why are your citizens wanting to leave? Why do they want, what in the hell's going on in your country so bad that it's going to make people just pick up and leave? I tell people all the time, if you don't like the American way, if you don't like peace, freedom, liberty, and security, if you sign on to and align yourself with the globalists here in the United States, pack your crap and leave. Yeah, bye. We don't need you here. But then you have the others that are saying, this is not getting any better. We're just going to pack up and leave. So, what is making them leave? What is making them leave the United States of America? And why don't they want peace, freedom, liberty, and security? I remember in 1988, I was on a news program. There was perestroika, there was all this there was talk of peace in Russia and all of this. And I think, and if I may be wrong in this, but Gorbachev was president of Russia at the time. And I remember people leaving the United States, hearing this on the news that I was watching, that people were leaving the United States and moving to other countries, such as Belize and such as South America and they focused their attention, this news program focused their attention and their story on a family that left the United States and went to Russia. A year later, the wall came down. So it was like, well, and now in 2017, we have information coming out of the Soviet Union, or I should say Russia, that hints at the citizens having a few more rights than the citizens of the United States of America. Consider this. Last year, a year before last, I remember listening to a speech by President Vladimir Putin of Russia saying, literally, he put in his speech, he said this to the American people, to us, do not give up your weapons. You can probably find that speech online where he says that. But he literally told us not to give up our weapons. What kind of country who seems to be the enemy of the United States of America, or we have a somewhat of a decent trade agreement with Russia, how many other countries are going to tell the United States citizens not to give up their weapons? Kind of makes you want to pack up your crap and go to Russia, right? I don't know. Plus, this past week, President of Russia, Vladimir Putin, opened up some more opportunities for foreign businesses to come into Russia. That's a huge 180-degree turn from when the Rothschilds owned every single bank in Russia. And when Vladimir Putin, in the past several years, told them to, kiss his ass and get out, they left. And now President Putin is opening up opportunities for businesses to go over there. And let me tell you something, because I have a background in theater. There's some great theaters over there, folks. Some really super theaters over there. By the way, speaking of Russia and getting beyond the Iron Curtain and all that, I remember, I believe it was the first of many groups, rock groups, that went over to Russia. And I believe it was Iron Maiden who went behind the Iron Curtain when they were still going through all their crap before, 1989. And they started allowing all of this, or maybe it was shortly thereafter, but they started going, rock groups go over there all the time now. They go over there all the time. Russia is, President Vladimir Putin is 10 years older than I am, and I have a great deal of respect for him. I don't like his political, leanings, but I like the guy. I'd like to sit down with him and talk with him. I would like to, go fishing with him and just, hang out with the guy. I don't like his political leanings. I just want to find out who this guy is. He's not some fictional villain off of a Bond film, but, he certainly looks like it. But, yeah, so to me, the United States of America was built upon the principles of peace, freedom, liberty, and security. That's why in 1773, the people got really pissed off and threw tea over into the harbor. And, that's how the whole thing started. Some of what, caused the War of Independence. And now we are a country of freedom fighters, I would say, or intellectuals, or, you name it. We're like a plethora. We're like a what do they call that? We have all these people here. We have Russians here. We have Israeli people who live here. We have other people from other countries that live here. New Zealanders live here. People from England moved over here. I mean, come on. Melting pot. That's the word I'm looking for. But here's a problem with America. We've allowed too many people into this melting pot. And guess what, folks? The pot has melted. We need to start, or we actually need to just get busy. And to the people that want to overthrow the United States of America, we need to throw their asses out of it. Got a couple of big oceans out there, folks. But anyway, we need to throw them out of this country. We need to pack them up and throw them out. Okay? We do. We just, we just need to get rid of them. Okay? The McCarran-Walter Act specifically says that we need to get rid of them in this manner. Okay? Now, the act allowed the government to deport immigrants or nationalized citizens engaged in subversive activities, and also allowed the barring of suspected subversives from entering the country. Period. Okay? Period. Done. Not going to put up with your bullcrap anymore, you freaking lefties, progressives, and democratic socialists and fascist Republicans. Not going to put up with your crap anymore. This is the way it is. This is the way it should be. And that's the end of it. People don't like the fact that I get up in their face and tell you the truth. That's on American Liberty Radio Podcast. Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952. Period. There you go. Get them the hell out of the United States of America now. A lot of people would say, well, why? What do you want to do? Ship them back to their crap holes of a country and have them get killed? No. You just send them to a country of their choice. And if they're subversives, if they want to overthrow this country, yeah, the American people know how to take care of that. Now, a lot can be said about immigration. A lot can be said about immigration. But when we were living in Reno, Nevada, there was a little rally of downtown in Reno by the Arch, and people in Reno, Nevada know what I'm talking about. There was a little rally of immigrants. I'm going to call them immigrants because, there was a plethora of people down there. And we went down there to see what was going on. I filmed it. I had my phone out, and I'm filming this, right? And we were, walking around, just looking. And this one Mexican woman came up to me, and she spoke perfect English. She was fine. She had a camera, one of those television-style cameras. I mean, these, studio-style cameras, big, right? And she pointed the camera at me and asked me, what do I think about immigration? I said, I am for legal immigration. And I think that's better than anything else. And guess what? Guess what? She turned off the camera and walked away. Turned off the camera and walked away. So you tell me, folks. You tell me. You can say a lot about immigration. You can say a lot about a lot of things. But here's the bottom line, folks. If you're not willing to stand up for what you believe in, if you're not willing to stand for something, you'll fall for anything, as the old adage goes. If you're not willing to secure your life on the principles of peace, freedom, liberty, and security for the United States of America, I've said it before and I'll say it again, pack your shit and get the hell out of the United States of America. Go to a country of your choice that closely aligns with your personal and political ideologies. Because I guarantee you, folks, there's plenty of room out there. There's plenty of room in other countries you can go to. But let me remind you of something. From what I gathered, and I still need to get some more information about this, once you renounce your U.S. citizenship, it is hard as hell to get it back. So when you make that decision to leave, think about that one. Think about that one. Because I saw a little side note to this, where people were taking the U.S. citizenship tests. They were born and raised right here, normal people like you and I. And some people failed. And they're citizens of the United States that were born and raised here, okay? And they didn't even know some of the questions. You know what I'm saying? Oh, for a second there, I sounded like Alex Jones. Anyway, folks. Going to get out of here in a few more minutes. But I want to make sure that you understand what's going on in our world today that is no longer a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy fact. There is a deep state shadow government operating behind the scenes, pushing the buttons and pulling the handles. Now, and we have to understand that. Have they got Trump in their, have they got President Trump in their pocket? No. I mean, that's evident right there. Do they want him to fail? Yeah, because they want to overthrow the United States of America, period. End of sentence, done. The shadow government, the deep state, want to destroy every piece of fabric of peace, freedom, liberty, and security that you have ever known your whole life. And that's just the way it is. I got friends on my Facebook friends list from Australia. And from what they tell me, and this is my view of what they tell me, Australia is like the the bad stepsister of the world. And it's like the United States is going, yeah, we'll give you the scraps. We'll give you what's left over. All right. So, but there's, from what I can tell, there's some fantastic people in Australia. So I want to, my hat goes off to you folks, but you guys need to get a little backbone and get a little courage and start doing what you have to do to take your country back too, So I'm not the only one here, cheerleading other people here in the United States, you know what I'm saying? So we need to see more patriots of other countries standing up against their governments. We need to see this. Do you know why? Well, look back in history. Now you know. The United States of America did not become the United States of America because people sat on their hands and went, well, they're just too powerful. We can't do anything. It took a bunch of people. I don't care if you think they were part of a secret society or the Illuminati or the Freemasons or whatever. I don't care. It was people getting up going, we don't like the tax that King George has on our breakfast beverage. We don't like this. We're going to stop this. And this had been going on for several years up till 1773 when this group of people went, oh, we've had enough. So when is your we had enough moment? Hashtag we had enough. When is that going to be? When is that point of resistance going to begin? When is that I had enough moment going to be an epiphany? When are you going to act upon your beliefs? Okay? How is that going to be any different than that group of people in 1773 that started out in Boston, of all places? How is that going to be any different than what they did? Because now we have, let's just say, we have ways of defending ourselves in a much more efficient and effective manner, by the way. And so we go and we stretch and we do and we get beyond that barrier that's been set up before us, and sometimes that we've set up on our own. And we knock those barriers down and we say we've had enough. When is that we had enough moment going to happen? I mean, myself, Nick Tucker, Brian Lang, we can all sit here and chat for 2-3 hours about this stuff, but unless you get your asses up and go out and take care of business, as I like to say, until you get up and start going out and taking care of business in your city and in your town and in your state, ain't nothing going to happen. You ain't going to make any changes. I got plans. My plans involve in getting out of the studio and going out and doing some on-the-street stuff and going into the capital here of Montana, which is Helena, Montana, and talking to some politicians. But I can't do that because I don't have the resources right now. You can help me do that. Go to AmericanLibertyRadio.com. Go to actually the backup site, AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. Go to the sponsors page, become a patron. There's a little link there that says that. Drop $1 in the kitty and help me get out to Helena and talk to some of the politicians and ask them what the hell they're doing. So there you go. We have what we have, folks. I mean, we have what we have because people stood up for something, because they believed in something. We got to that we've had enough moment, and we took care of business the way that we know how. I have a distinct feeling that's going to happen again. Don't know when, don't know how, but I have a feeling it's going to happen again.
Hereby declare this to be
Whoops. Hitting the wrong button for some odd reason. I don't know why. Oh, because I have to scroll down. There we go. That works for me. AmericanLibertyRadio.com. AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. Email me, AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. American Liberty Radio Network, sharing the truth one fact at a time without all the BS.